of control rages throughout college football. Holy smokes, today and tomorrow. Welcome to episode 373 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, smash the like button if you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. It's early Tuesday morning, February 20th. Andrew Machon publishes a new piece in The Athletic. We're going to be going through it. Put down your comments and thoughts in the comments section below the video. As college football playoff meetings resume with ESPN's TV deal on the table, the battle for control of the future of the sport we love, college football, it rages. Andrew Machon, The Athletic, college football's future could receive some needed clarity this week. Oh, please. Let it be so. At least that is the hope of many involved in planning the sport's much anticipated expanded postseason. ESPN has agreed to terms with representatives of CFP on a 6-year, $7.8 billion extension to televise the event through the 2031-2032 season. But the commissioners and the presidents that run CFP have not yet agreed on any aspects of the format beyond the 12-team model in place for the next 2 seasons, setting up for a pivotal few days of meetings. Today and tomorrow are massive for the future of college football. The terms agreement negotiated between ESPN and the firm CAA Evolution, which represents the CFP, has been in place for months. But CFP leaders still need a vote on the deal for it to take effect. Those leaders' inability to reach consensus on topics they were hoping to settle before signing has been described by some executives involved as a mess. Commissioners have said that they are treating the playoff of the 2026-27 season as a blank slate with no special allegiance to any formats or decisions made over the past decade. That's the great gold rush we've been talking about for 18 months on this channel, the 2026 college football playoffs. But that approach means there's a lot to settle. From automatic bursts to revenue distribution, and outside onlookers are eager to see progress. Meanwhile, ESPN executives are growing impatient, and as Puck business writer John Oran first mentioned, ESPN will consider pulling the offer if CFP fails to get its act together soon. The board of managers, the university presidents, the chancellors who make up the organization's highest governing body will meet virtually on Tuesday. That's today. The commissioners, Notre Dame, who make up the CFP's management committee will meet in person in Dallas on Wednesday. That is tomorrow. Can they reach a consensus on the details for 2026 and beyond that have held up forward progress so far? And if not, what happens? What happens next if they can't get done? What's the alternative? No playoff? No playoffs, said a source involved in the discussions. That's not feasible. That would be a disaster. One possible alternative is what many across college sports feared. When the SEC and the Big Ten announced their new joint advisory group, an eventual breakaway of the richest and most powerful leagues in college athletics, even if only serving as an implied threat, it could give the two conferences significant leverage in negotiations that would determine the future of college athletics. Those attending the 2 meetings this week are preparing for a battle that could become cutthroat and contentious. We've moved past cloak and dagger. We've moved past cloak and dagger when it comes to the 2026 playoffs. What are they going to look like? The playoff distribution, the format, playoff access. We've gone from cloak and dagger to cutthroat and contentious. The corporate bottom line world does not have the same expectations of collegiality from colleagues as higher education once said. And when it comes to CFP negotiations, they clash. It's been nearly 3 years since a 4-person subcommittee first proposed a 12-team model. It's been more than 17 months since the CFP's Board of Managers forced the commissioners back to the table and officially approved it, yet very few of its most consequential issues are resolved. Despite dozens of meetings of the commissioners, mostly at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport hotels, those on the inside know how bad it looks to those on the outside. It's embarrassing, said one commissioner. It was embarrassing how long it took to get to 12, to get to a 12-team expanded playoff format. Big-time college athletics has seen dramatic change over the last 3 years with Oklahoma, Texas joining the SEC, USC, UCLA moving to the Big Ten, and the implosion of the Pac-12. There's also been considerable turnover among the power conference's commissioners. Only SEC's Greg Sankey has been at the helm longer than 3 years. The Big Ten, the Big 12 hired leaders with professional sports backgrounds. Some commissioners in the room acknowledge that the mighty Big Ten and the SEC have the leverage to chart a course forward, but have yet to throw it around. I think that's a very important point where I'm going to get to it at the end of the article. Big Ten and the SEC, they have the leverage to chart their own course if they need to, but they have the power, the leverage to chart a course forward, but have yet to throw it around. The commissioners also say they don't know what exactly the Big Ten and the SEC want out of the remaining debates. The hope is more clarity at the meetings Tuesday, today, and Wednesday, tomorrow. The Pac-12's implosion has accelerated a push to modify the 12-team model to 5 conference champions and 7 at-large berths for the next 2 seasons, from the original structure that included 6 of each. The board is expected to vote on the 5+7 plan during its virtual meeting on Tuesday, according to 3 sources briefed on the process. This needs to get done today. It needs to get done. The model needs to change to 6+6 to 5+7 today. If it does not, everything's going to go pear-shaped, as we say at PATC. Everything is going to implode. I believe this will get done. And then the much harder work after that is going to be on Wednesday. And we'll get to that later in this episode. Washington State's president, Kirk Schultz, the Pac-12 representative and the lone holdout in the board's most recent meeting, is expected to propose that Washington State and Oregon State receive revenue and voting power similar to the Power 4 schools in 2026 and beyond. It's just not going to happen. That our strongly held opinion here at PATC. You're not going to get the same revenue or voting powers of the Power 4 schools. You're not going to get what the Big 12 has. You're not going to get what the ACC schools currently have for 26 and beyond. It's unclear whether there's much support for that. There isn't, especially since future revenue and governance plans have not been determined for anyone. 2 sources involved in the approval process, they expect the 5+7 to be the starting point of the format debate for 2026 and beyond, but acknowledge that it may not be the final resolution. Sankey has suggested on numerous occasions a world with no automatic berths at all. I don't think we're going in that direction, but that is what Sankey has pushed. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti has suggested reconsidering the bracket sizes that were previously passed over, such as a 16-team field, going from 12 to 16. People familiar with the discussions have told The Athletic. On the topic of revenue distribution, it's safe to assume the leagues will be rewarded both for the number of teams that make the field and for how far those teams advance, much like the payout model for the men's NCAA basketball tournament. One source briefed on the discussion said, how much participation and victories are worth remains unresolved, like many of the issues, as is the starting amount allocated to each league. Currently, the Power 5 leagues split about 80% of the CFP revenue, and the G5s, they share about 20% of the revenues. Each conference receives roughly the same share regardless of the appearance or performance in the postseason. That's going to change coming here in 2024. One source involved in the discussion said they expect the Big Ten and the SEC to push for revenue shares larger than those given to the Big 12 and the ACC, creating further separation between the two groups. The differentiation could be in the form of a larger percentage of revenue for the Big Ten and the SEC on a per league basis or on a per school basis, the source said. I think we're going to get to a per school basis. We shall see. Hopefully by the end of Wednesday, along with all these other unresolved issues. Then there's the question of governance. Would the Big Ten and the SEC, having newly formed a joint advisory group, take a leadership role in developing solutions for a sustainable future of college sports, push for more autonomy and or more control of the enterprise? Decisions for 26 and beyond won't need a unanimous vote like they currently do, because the current contract does not roll over. In those two leagues, Big Ten, SEC, could withhold support for the media deal until these issues are resolved to their liking. ESPN has not yet set a deadline for the CFP to ratify its deal, but as a source with knowledge of ESPN's thinking said, it isn't going to wait forever. Holy smokes, even more pressure. Even more pressure to get these issues resolved today, Tuesday, and especially tomorrow on Wednesday in Dallas, Texas. The current contract between the CFP and ESPN averages $609 million per year, but escalates over time, which is why ESPN sees its new terms as a 28% increase, according to executives briefed on their discussions. The network is currently on the hook to pay around $800 million for each of the final two seasons of the original contract, and it values the four new first-round games at $100 million in total. That is $25 million per game, making it outlay around $900 million over each of the next 2 years. If the new terms are ratified, the average payout over the life of the 6-year deal comes to $1.3 billion a season through the 2031-32 season, with the annual payment numbers escalating over the life of the contract. ESPN also has the option to sublicense 5 of the CFP games per season, according to officials briefed on the terms of the agreement. So it has the option to sublicense 5 of the 11 playoff games per season. At its discretion, ESPN can look at the market and decide if it wants to let other networks in for a fee at any point through the 2032 season. While ESPN has a terms agreement set in the wake of the multiple reports on the deal last week, some rival networks were being told by factions within CFP leadership they could submit a new bid. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Let me read that again. While ESPN has terms agreements set, some rival networks were being told by factions within CFP, well, let's just call it what it is. Big 10, Big 12, Fox Sports, Talent Fox Sports, NBC. Go ahead. Some rival networks were being told by factions they could submit a new bid, according to officials with knowledge of the discussions. But the likes of Fox, NBC, CBS have made no known offers. ESPN is still considered the clear front runner, the chalk, as we say here at Peek Around the Corner. Fox and NBC, the two most likely networks to merge as alternative destinations have so far found the price of the potential CFP doesn't pencil out, especially, now this is important, especially with the uncertainties surrounding the format. We don't know what it's going to look like, right? We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what the format is going to look like for 2026 and beyond. The CFP is part of ESPN's 5-year plan that includes a forthcoming new bid for NBA rights. It hopes to continue its relationship with the UFC and an interest in solving the regional sports network crisis affecting Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL. The $1.3 billion outlay per year sitting before the CFP is not a sum Disney CEO Bob Iger and ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro can find between the seat cushions of a Space Mountain ride. ESPN already has CFP rights built into its books and would like to retain the full arsenal of the college football's main event as this launches its new venture with Fox Sports, WBD Sports this fall, and ahead of its own standalone direct-to-consumer launch in 2025. The network recently re-upped to be the home of the Division I women's basketball tournament and most other NCAA championships for the $920 million over 8 years, giving it potential control of the postseason for all of college sports except for the Division I's men's basketball tournament, which is owned by CBS and WBD Sports. If it were to walk away from the CFP, ESPN would still retain the long-term college football footholds of the SEC and the ACC exclusively. Big 12 rights, and then for the next 2 seasons, at least a majority of the CFP. And finally, in this article, The Athletic by Andrew Marchand, it is against the media backdrop that CFP leaders will meet this week, needing to sort through the mess and find a path to alignment in order to collect the billions that Iger and Pitaro have on the table. We're 10 months away from the start of the expanded playoff. Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick told The Athletic, there's a lot to do. You don't flip a switch. The clock is ticking. Holy smokes. Today, Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday are massive days when it comes to the future of college football. The battle rages on for control. Now, I believe it's got to happen. Right? Today, the format, the 6+6 has got to change to 5+7. I would be shocked if that did not happen. But that leads us up to Wednesday. Wednesday, there is going to be, I believe there's going to be fireworks. The playoff distribution model, the battle between G5 and the Power 4 conferences, the battle within the Power 4 conferences. How exactly is the SEC and the Big Ten payout going to be different than the ACC and the Big 12? And of course, Washington State and Oregon State, they're going to be putting forward an offer today, a plan from Kirk Schultz, the president of Washington State and Oregon State's president, saying, look, we should be getting paid in the same playoff distribution. We should have the same voting rights as the Power 4 conference schools. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to pass, but I don't think Kirk Schultz is going to hold up the model change. He can't. Because, look, 2026 and beyond, as it says in the article, the SEC and the Big Ten have not yet begun to throw their weight around. Right? I mean, sure, they push their chips in the middle of the table, especially when it's going to come to playoff distribution and playoff access, how the format's going to actually work. But they're not going to put their full weight into this. They're not going to start putting out ultimatums unless everything goes pear-shaped this week. If things don't happen, if things don't get resolved, if all these issues do not get resolved this week, we have major problems here in college football. The SEC and the Big Ten could threaten everybody and just go away and break away. Here at Peek Around the Corner, we do not think that's going to happen. We've been on the side of the G5 schools, continuing their playoff access in 2026 and beyond. We are on the side, of course, the ACC, and the Big 12 to remain to have playoff access at the highest level of college football and of college sports. We all think PATC believes that's going to continue on for at least the next 8 years. One of the reasons we think this is going to happen because we don't think the SEC and the Big Ten want anything more to do with the courts. They're trying to settle all these court issues going on right now. They don't want more. They do not have the appetite to go into the court to separate themselves away from everybody else. Not at this time. Maybe in the future, yes. There is a power too when it comes to power and influence and exposure and all that, SEC in the Big Ten. But a breakaway at this point, we don't think it's going to happen. It should not happen. It will not happen. If the issues get resolved today, Tuesday, and tomorrow, Wednesday, in Dallas, Texas, we're going to be optimistic about it here at Peek Around the Corner. We think everybody's going to lock arms and say kumbaya. Maybe not that, but it's got to happen. It has to happen. For the health of the college sports world that we love, our game that we love, college football. Come on, get it together. Get things done today and tomorrow. And here at Peek Around the Corner, we're going to be following this story. We're going to be coming on live at the point when some decision is made in changing the model from 5+7 to from 6+6 to 5+7. So stick with us here. Keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Get yourself notified to us because we can pop up at live at any time today and tomorrow, just like any other day. But today and tomorrow are special days, big days, when it comes to, well, the battle that continues to rage on for control of college football. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.